at that stage we had very little else to lose. Around June time of that year, we decided we probably exhausted every possible avenue of jail protest up at that stage. As the chair said there, I was in jail in the early 90s, which experienced protests in the jail at that stage. And in actual fact, I thought at that stage, between several of us who were all previous prisoners, but in actual fact, we can't take this particular form of protest any further. We had to agree on a form of dirty protest. So that was started around July of that year, around the anniversary of Martin Horson's death. And there it was. First of all, we smashed our cells up. At that stage, I think there was 22 of us. We smashed our cells up, flooded them. And at that stage, the most Republican prisoners from any wing in the jail was 2 Republican prisoners, who was then started to annoy 26 other prisoners, for better or for worse. At that stage, it really mattered us, because we really didn't lose at this stage. So our protest started. It was a full-blown dirty protest, and from that stage on, visits nearly become extinct, other than when you were took off out of the cells for them to be washed out, and you were took to the boards, where in actual fact, as our legal teams at that stage organised family visits. During that period, we had agreed what in actual fact, from previous experience and from the knowledge of prisoners in the jail, from the blanket protest before, the dirty protests and the hunger strike, but in actual fact is sooner or later we were going to have to go one step further if the jail administration didn't agree to our demands. Our demands were very simple. We wanted segregation for obvious reasons, and we were very clear about what we were different than all the other prisoners in the jail. We were Republican prisoners, and the only difference from us at that stage and 4 or 5 years before was the signing of the Good Friday Agreement. So in actual fact is, the segregation battle had to be won at all costs. It didn't matter how we won it. So we proceeded to win it by the way of the dirty protest. We had agreed sometime in August, I think it was that year, what if it didn't work out by Christmas time, what we were going to go on a hunger strike. There was names picked, and all the normal procedures was done. Families was told, and prisoner groups outside was told, and everything else. And the clergy was told within the jail. And it just so happened one of the clergy in the jail was a chaplain during the hunger strike. So he, at that stage, obviously tried to talk everybody out of it. He accepted the fact that the conditions we were living in was the same as 76. He said he couldn't believe when he was back in 2002, what he was now yet again facing up to the same thing. So between the help of him and outside people, there was a report to be done by Steele. Now Steele, when Steele came into the jail, the administration asked you to put your name down to meet Steele and everything else. So again we refused. We said, but we were protest. If Steele wanted to talk, he could come to our wings on dirty protest and talk to us. The Steele people did come in, which was a vicar and a Catholic priest and some other independent people. So for weeks the negotiations were going with these Steele people, and the contents of the report or their findings or their submissions that they were going to put, we were happy with them. And in a collective way, all the Republican prisoners agreed with if the Steele report was fully implemented, we'd agree to come off protest. The Steele said that we should get a segregated wing of our own. They called it separation, we called it segregation. And after several months, that's exactly what happened. And then during the protests, that several months, our visits were still being compromised somewhat. There still was the pettiness going on and everything else. And we done all the normal things. We took jail JRs contacted all the politicians and all sorts of things. They say it was JRs done, Paul Freer's done, I'm sure he talked about it in the way. They still finally give us the segregated wing. We were moved, I can't remember what month it was, but we're all moved in black. All the Republican prisoners throughout the whole jail was moved to one wing in the jail, which at that stage it must be nearly 28 of us because the wing was full. On a daily basis, we were getting out more time at the start. There was no controlled movement. Strip search not stopped. And in actual fact is we've become a Republican bloc of prisoners who controlled their own wings, not controlled them to the extent where anybody was being bullied, but controlled them to the extent where we'd done our own laundry, cleaned our own wings, and we were being treated at that stage like proper human beings. I think that lasted 4 weeks. During that 4 weeks we met every day. We met the governor, the black PO and the SO and the security governor to talk about how we could make conditions better, how we get more free time, which in actual fact was, the big word was at that stage, the transitional period between the segregation and moving to the new accommodation, the row house accommodation. So everything went well for that 4 weeks. We had all the free time, we had no strip searches, we got all our visits, and everything seemed to be going well until they moved us back into this new refurbished row house, which was a brand new block with refurbished block with 4 wings. There was Bush House with 4 wings also, and they moved all the loyalists to Bush and all us to Row. We got to Row, and I would say literally within days, the previous 4 weeks after the Steel Agreement, the jail administration and the powers what would be used that 4 weeks to see how they would crack every last concession what was won. And bear in mind, these weren't concessions of any greatness other than segregation and safety and humane treatment of any prisoner, let alone Republican prisoners. During the course of the new row house, within the first weeks, everything deteriorated. There was the same things, there was controlled movement, strip searching had started, and the charging again for refusing direct orders, for opening your mouth, for lifting your feet up and twinkling your toes, up until to the extent where we had that many charges. The governor was in piano's office, which we didn't even have guitars and stuff. So we were nearly back to square one after a whole big long protest. And when I left Row House in 2005, I think it was, the conditions had got to the stage where I think we're now several years on and this man's only released, and the conditions are now back to the word in 2002 really, other than being with the loyalists. So to say if the Steel Agreement had been only implemented at that time and kept the way it was meant to be kept, well then we wouldn't be here today. It's like the new agreement of August, the same thing. So I would say as an ex-prisoner twice, what these prisoners don't ask or demand for anything more than what people expect to be treated humane. You should hear from Brendy the extent of the new stuff today. So that's all from me, folks.